Okay, so in section 2.3 we graphed a line. You were given the equation and you graphed a linear function. In 2.4, writing equations for lines, you're going to be given information about the line and you're going to have to write the equation. We're going to focus on slope-intercept form. How do you write an equation for a line in slope-intercept form? Okay? So all we need to remember are the pieces. Okay? We know M is our slope, B is our y-intercept, and the x and y is a point. That's going to be a point on the line at any point on that line. We need to ask the question, what is my slope, what is my y-intercept? They're the two pieces you need to find. So each problem's going to be a little different, give you different pieces of information, but your final answer will be an equation. Given slope and the y-intercept, write an equation for a line that has a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 6. Okay? So this is giving us RM and RB, the two questions. What is my slope? What is my y-intercept? Slope here is M, y-intercept is B. Okay, so there's no calculation needed. We can just identify what our two pieces are and write out our equation. Y equals 3x plus 6. Okay, write an equation for a line that has a slope of 2/5 and a y-intercept of -3. So again, it's giving us our pieces. There's our M, that's our slope, and our B is -3. Y equals 2/5 x minus 3. And I wrote minus because it's -3. You could have had this as y equals 2/5 x plus a -3. Both of those would be correct answers. I do ask you if you're going to write it in the second way, put that -3 in parentheses, keep it nice and neat together. So here we have a line. Okay, if you're given a line, you're still looking for the same two pieces. You need your slope, you need your y-intercept. So the y-intercept usually should be pretty easy to find. Okay, right there it's crossing the y-axis, so we know our B is 2, crossing at 2. To find our slope, I'm going to pick 2 points. I'm going to count my rise over run. Pick nice points. They don't have to be on the x-y axis. In this case, there's another nice point, so I would use that. You don't want to pick a point that is in the middle of any of those crosshairs. Pick nice points so you can count exactly how far up and over we're going. Starting at my lower point, 1, 2, so I'm going up 2, 1, 2. To the left 2, so that's going to be -2, since it was to the left, and that simplifies to -1. So we have y equals, or our y-intercept is 2, our slope is -1. Y equals -x plus 2. Okay, so again, you could put the 1 in there in front of the x, but you don't need it since it's 1. We know that that's going to be our coefficient. Okay? So make sure you're putting these back into the equation. A lot of people, they find the M, they find the B, and they stop. Make sure your final answer is in equation form. Given a point and a slope, so for this problem, write an equation for a line that goes through point 47 and has a slope of -3. So has a slope of -3, so we do know our slope. Okay? But there is no B, okay? Or at least it's not giving us a B right now. It does tell us we have a point 47. Okay? Any random point is x and y. Okay? That's the ordered pair. Now if you think of the equation we're looking for, y equals mx plus b. Okay, we know 3 of those variables, x, y, and m. If we know 3 of the variables, we can solve for that 4th one. So if we take these pieces and plug them in, y is 7, our m is -3, times x is 4, plus b. Okay, we should be able to solve for b. Multiply -3 times 4, and add 12 to both sides. So there's our B, there's our M. They're the two pieces we need. Again, make sure you're putting in slope-intercept form. Y equals -3x plus 19. Okay? Another example, write an equation of a line that has slope 1/2 and passes through point 62. So again, it's giving us our slope. And again, anytime they're giving us a random point, that's 6,2, that is x and y. Okay? So again, 3 variables, we can find the fourth. Two equals 1/2 times 6 plus b. Then subtract your 3. Our y-intercept is -1. Y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Okay? Given slope and a point, you can plug in and then solve for your y-intercept. Write an equation for a line that has points 8, 4 and 5, 1. Okay, so now we're given 2 points. So we don't have our M, we don't have our B. We don't have either of those. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, taking 2 points, we should be able to find slope. Okay, taking 2 points, we can use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the rise over run formula. And now we have our points. 5, 1, 8, 4. Let's use those points for the y's. 1 minus 4. Since my 1 came first here, my 5's going to come first. 5 minus 8. Okay, so let's double check that work. 1 minus 4 is -3. 5 minus 8 is -3. Simplifies to 1. There's our slope. Okay? And now, you can pick either one of these points. Okay? Just like the last 2 examples. We have a slope. Pick whichever point you feel more comfortable with. I'm going to start with 5, 1. Okay? So there's my x and y. And just like the last 2 examples, I'm going to go through this. You should get the same answer no matter which point you use. So you get -4b, just to show it, using that point over there. You're not getting -4 again. Okay? So either way, it doesn't matter which point. Pick the one that looks nicer. Okay? Y equals x minus 4. Plugging my 1 in for my slope, and my y-intercept is -4. Okay? Just one more example. 9, -3, 7, 5. So again, we have 2 points. I'm going to find slope. 5 minus -3. My 5 came first, so my 7's going to come first. 5 minus -3 is 8 over -2. So we slope at -4. Double check my math there. 5 minus -3 is 8. 7 minus 9 is -2. So we have -4 as our M. Now, 9, -3, 7, 5. I'm going to pick 7, 5 to use, and the reason is I'm going to stay away from that negative signs. One, you get the freedom to pick whichever one, so pick the one that looks nicer. Positive numbers I like to work with, or I think they're easier to work with, so I'm using the 7, 5. Okay, now you're doing the same work. We plug in our x, plug in our y, plug in our m. We have 5 equals -28 plus b, and our b equals 33. Y equals -4x plus 33. So it's the same step, we adding steps to it. Okay, we had to find our slope first in both of these problems, and then pick either point, plug in, and solve for your y-intercept. Write an equation for a line that is parallel to the line with an equation of y equals 1/3 x plus 9 and has point 12,5. Probably the most important word in this problem is parallel. We have to remember that parallel slopes, lines that have parallel slopes, lines that are parallel have equal slopes. Okay, so since this slope is 1/3, that's not our equation. That's the line that is parallel to the line that we're looking for. Since this is 1/3, that means our slope is 1/3. So now, it's just like before. We have our slope, we have our x and y, and now we can plug in. Okay, doing that work, 1/3 times 12. B equals 1. Y equals 1/3 x plus 1. Okay, parallel lines have equal slopes. Write an equation for a line that is perpendicular to the line with an equation y equals 4x plus 2 and goes through point 88. Okay, so this time perpendicular is an important word. Perpendicular, okay, those lines, that means they meet and form a right angle. They have opposite reciprocal slopes. So since this equation, y equals 4x plus 2, 4 is our slope, you need to be able to pick out what the opposite reciprocal is. Thinking of 4 as a fraction is 4/1. You flip that, make it opposite. Our new slope is -1/4. So there's our slope. There's a point, so it's the same work as before. You have M, you have a point, plug in and solve for B. Okay, so we have -1/4 times 8. That should give us -2. Add 2 to both sides. And our B is 10. Okay, so the final answer here, y equals -1/4 x plus 10. Again, make sure you're filling out that final answer. There's a lot going on. You need to remember perpendicular. You have to do the opposite reciprocal. So make sure you're going through all these steps. Don't stop once you find your M and B. Make sure you put it in slope-intercept form. Okay, write an equation for a vertical line that passes through point 85. Okay, this is a little different. Your equation is not going to be slope-intercept form. Okay, we're writing an equation for a vertical line that passes through point 85. So instead of doing calculations to solve this, think about what that looks like. Vertical line, up and down, and it goes through point 85. So there's the point it goes through. Vertical line. Okay. Now we need to remember, this is one back when we did this graph, I said it's a very easy concept of vertical and horizontal line equations, but you have to remember that it's not slope-intercept form, and it really is almost easier because you're just thinking, where does this vertical line cross the x-axis? It crosses the x-axis at 8. Our equation, x equals 8. Okay, so there is no more work to do for that. You don't have to solve for a slope. The slope is undefined since it's a vertical line. Okay, so that would be it for this one. Okay, so there are the examples for 2.4 writing equations for lines.